noise.
Okay, we are back with some more Selene Apoptosis. Don't know how to say the last word. So we are back right after I was in the process of redoing the second episode. So I went through that one as quickly as I can to get back on track and get to some slightly new stuff. So now we're on track with a new episode. So let's just get to it. Oh, I forgot I was in the save menu. Okay. Oh. I love you. I love you too, very much. See you tonight. After finishing the call, he turned around. The socks were resting peacefully on the chair, which meant everything was okay. He went back to the mail and only then noticed several new letters. 2 of them were from his counterparts. Ethan hesitated. He had already decided his course of action concerning the question, so there was no harm in taking a look. He wouldn't feel any guilt. After all, he had already done far more than he should have. Of course, he is a lifesaver, more those wanting to sell books, mentioning historical accuracy, but having no intention to pay for it properly. And so what? He doesn't have to do a perfect job for free. That is 100% true. Artists are so not paid at all. Like it's a crime sometimes. Hell, he doesn't even work for free. That's what Ethan thought. Then he opened the 2 letters and changed his highly reasonable decision. His counterpart was asking how soon he would get an answer. So this happened, after all. The tone was very polite and apologetic. He wasn't expecting anything, but he really, really needed the help of some component. According to the email, he wasn't doing very well. The poor man had been suffering from insomnia and an insane amount of time, and it seems that he, too, began imagining things. It was as if Ethan saw himself from the outside. He suddenly felt very sorry for his acquaintance. Of course, he began to feel sorry for him earlier, but now Ethan felt a sharp, bitter pity. He realized that if he helps his acquaintance, he will help himself. But if he steps back now, what is the value of a specialist who is afraid of a little challenge? As Hope once said, the career ladder is made of thorns. Of course, he no longer worked in an office, but professional growth requires twice as much effort if you're self-employed. And besides, Ethan had Hope. Hope, who never gives in so easily and forgets her socks on the chair. Hope, who loves him very much. Hope, who will go to the store with him tonight because being cooped up like that can drive one crazy. This must be what was happening to his acquaintance right now. Ethan had to help him. Not because of money, but because he could and because it was the right thing to do. They will both finish their project, and then they will have a good rest. They might even go out for a glass of beer together. So Ethan thought and got back to the question with this newfound strength. The pages of the book did not rustle in a far corner of the room. The shadows weren't wandering in the corners, and certainly no one looked at the back of his head until the evening. And in the evening, Hope came back. Hope looked up from her magazine and leaned over the armrest. You had a call from the agency. Ethan just got back from the shower. He froze in place, clutching the towel at his waist. Something cold stirred uncomfortably in his stomach. The project. He had completely forgotten about the agency project that he had been more than 2 weeks. The deadline was very close. He started for the phone, but Ethan just but Hope just waved her hand lazily. Don't worry, I picked up. What did you tell them? I told them you stopped eating, sleeping, and loving anything other than work, so that you'll get their files all nice and shiny. Pretty accurate? Yeah. Just don't pick up my phone again, okay? Hope shrugged. Sure. This is how you get divorced. Speed run to divorce. I mean, it was you who asked me to answer the call in the first place. Yes, I know. When I just started working for them, it was important to let them see I am always in touch. Now that I've passed the probation period, there's no point in piling this on you any longer. Thank you for covering for me. No problem. If you're getting a call and I'm not too lazy to go pick it up, I can keep watching your back. No, you really shouldn't. The project is complicated. I'd rather deal with it myself. Ethan sat rigid. He never considered himself a good liar, but Ethan didn't. Hope, not Ethan. But Hope didn't see to notice anything. She sighed, pretending to be upset, and rolled her eyes. Well, now I guess I'm being fired from an unpaid secretary position without any honors or compensation. Capitalism sucks. Yes, it does. Ethan leaned over, tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear, and looked into her eyes. His hand remained on Hope's cheek. Your help is very important to me. Hope's hand went over his. She closed her eyes. I know. I couldn't have done it without you. What else is new? They kissed. Oh, how cute. When Hope pulled away, she looked pleased, a sly smile on her lips. Are we still going to the store? I'm not sure. They reached for each other again, but the phone gave a sterile ring. After the phone call this morning, Ethan turned the silent mode off. Oh well. My city needs me. Ethan briefly pressed his lips to her forehead. Hope sighed and slapped his ass. Yeah, get the game! If God exists, he really wants us to buy some zucchini. I'll go and get dressed. The call was from the agency. They needed more details and dates. Ethan went out into the hallway and tried to make it sound as plausible as he could. Yes, he understands that the deadline is very close. No, there was no serious hitches in his work. Yes, he will send everything on time. When the call finally ended, Ethan's neck and face were flushed by time. He was a lousy liar after all. Ethan had to catch his breath. When he returned to the room, Hope was reaching for his laptop. What are you doing? Hope glanced at him over his shoulder. This time she looked surprised. Nothing special. Just wanted to print out some discount coupons. What about it? Ethan left a bunch of files and tabs open. They had nothing to do with the agency project, and he didn't want Hope to see them. After all, she did know enough about this project to serve as a sort of secretary. But all the project except the one that Ethan shouldn't have taken because it wasn't paid for. Maybe his fears were irrational. Maybe Hope wouldn't blame him. But Ethan felt ashamed, and he didn't want to take any chances after what had happened this morning. I have lots of unsaved files in there. Some important information might get lost. Can I print the coupons myself? Ethan felt his heart raise again in his neck and cheeks. Hope stared at him for a few seconds. Ethan couldn't read her expression on her face, and that creeped him out. He was ready to hear the reproaches, he even agreed with them in his mind, but Hope simply walked away. I don't know why my brain broke. Sure, I'll send them to your mail. This guy's gonna die. They spent most of the way to the store in tense silence. A few times Ethan asked something just to make sure Hope was still talking to him. Hope was, though the answers were dry and she never even attempted to make a joke. Yeah, she's upset. She has every right to be upset. You're a shitty husband. It's not that bad, Ethan told himself. It's not that bad at all. If you just repeat it again and again, you can buy a little time. But in the end, the anxiety will prevail. It always does. Ethan's mind quickly figured out the owner was trying to trick it and spat out the chewing gum. At that moment, Ethan caught in an avalanche of thoughts he didn't want to deal with and couldn't in his current state. Something had to be done, to be said, but what? Maybe he should actually do something after all. Ethan imagined touching Hope's fingers and then immediately saw her pulling the hand back, her eyes glistening, how she opens her mouth to the question Ethan had no answers to. They have to talk one way or the other. Ethan didn't know where to start without burying himself even deeper. He had been thinking about it the whole way, but never came up with anything. The huge supermarket the next block, a place they had long dubbed the store, was bustling with life despite the rather late hour. As soon as they entered the large glass door, the tension began to come off on its own. The carts were secure, but Ethan got them one in exchange for a coupon. The carts were scarce, but Ethan got them one in exchange for a coupon. What are you doing? You bargaining with little old granny for a cart? There's no carts. Well, I'll give you a coupon if you give me a cart. Hope gave him a thumbs up with not bad at all expression on her face. I would have said, you're a fucking idiot. That coupon's worth way more than any stupid cart. I would have just left. You know how busy a store has to be to not have any carts? Busy! Hope unenthusiastically presented a huge, colorful, utterly luxurious mug, and Ethan immediately agreed they had to buy it. They tried to find a pair for the mug, but a boarding supermarket employee said it was the last one. They were a little disappointed, but, well, at least there was something. Looking for the mug was the thing that finally did the trick. Now they huddled together, looking at their favorite treats and arguing about which breakfast cereal are the best. That's how it was until they reached the meat department. I'll go pick something out before it all cleared. Hope nodded something. I clicked before I could read that. Whoops. She was stuck at one of the big fridge in the middle of the hall. Okay, I'll be waiting for you here. The meat shelves were half empty as usual at this hour. Ethan was hoping to find a steak or some minced meat. However, as soon as he forgot about both, there was a girl standing by one of the shelves. She was buying some meat. Ethan couldn't see her face, only her pale back under a white dress with thin straps, and also her disheveled black hair. Ethan's cheeks were stung with cold as if his face was lying on the shelf in one of those refrigerated displays. Oh no, it's all gone wrong. The meat's expired! Just between the pork ribs and the lone ribeye in a black polyester foam tray. Is that her? Ethan took a few uncertain steps forward, and then he backed away, almost knocking over a nice old lady. He couldn't even muster an apology. Grabbed the first thing that came to hand and turned around to the nearest row of shelves. Tried not to run. because it would have looked too stupid, Ethan explained to himself, as if he reached the end of the rows and peered around the corner. The girl was still picking out meat. Isn't what you're doing now stupid, too? For sure it is, Ethan agreed with himself. The cold no longer buried his chest, and the girl seemed quite ordinarily, except she was dressed too lightly for the current weather. But that was still not considered a crime in any of the states. Ethan smiled to his own thoughts. Generally speaking, the girl was rather attractive, and her light clothing allowed one to fully appreciate it. Her thin waist passing into a seductive curve of the hips underneath the folds was white fabric. One could make out one of her round buttocks. Just one. Oh no!